Daytona Speedweeks continue here on the Hersheys Sports Channel as we continue to work our way ever closer to our 5th annual run of the NNSCRA Daytona 500. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome here as we get set to set the remainder of the grid for the Great American Race with the running of today's two CanAm Duels. We've already determined the front row for the Daytona 500. Nathan Hudson starting on the pole, Trent Dunham on the outside of the front row, but where's everybody else going to line up from third place on back? We're going to be finding out here with the running of our first duel here, in which we will determine the inside line for the Great American Race, and our second duel will determine the drivers that will be on the outside of each row all the way back to the 38th position. 39th place will be all alone in row 20. Nathan Hudson, as a result of being the pole sitter for the Great American Race, is also the pole sitter for today's first duel. Trent Dunham will be the pole sitter for the second duel race. And Hudson will start alongside of Trent Dunham's teammate in the 42, Blaine Keys. That'll be your front row. Row 2 with Tim Walsh, Brandon Gonzalez, and Jessica Shelton will be the completion of the top 5 when we get ready to go green in this first duel race. You can check down the description for the starting lineup for both this race and the second CanAm duel race that will be coming up immediately following the conclusion of this first duel race. 10 laps of racing here today at Daytona, so it's not going to be a whole lot of an opportunity for drivers that are starting closer to the rear of these duel races to work their way to the front. So if they're going to get themselves a good starting position, they're going to have to be aggressive early and continue with that on towards the checkered flag. Whoever ends up winning this duel race will start third for the Great American Race unless Nathan Hudson can double down and pick up the win here today. If so, then the driver that finishes second behind him will start third for the Daytona 500. Same rules apply if Trent Dunham wins the second CanAm duel. Let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports to get these cars rolling.
Drivers, start your engines!
There's the command to fire them up, and of course some drivers and some teams pretty happy with the duels they qualified in. Some others maybe not finding themselves in the position they were hoping for. Maybe wanting an opportunity to be in the same duel as a teammate so they can work together. You see row 3 comprised of Jessica Shelton and Charles Sanford. They'll be able to work together. You look a little bit further back and you see a couple of other drivers that might be able to get together, work together. Kev Shearer back there, he might be able to get up and work with Tim Walsh, who rolls off from third place. But not a whole heck of a lot of opportunities for drivers to be able to get up here and work together with a teammate. So your friends are where you find them when it comes to this kind of a duel race. And of course, everybody's going to be fighting for real estate, because a lot of times drivers have told me that, you know, if you qualify a lot better up at the front of the field, you minimize your chances of potentially getting caught up in the big one when the Daytona 500 rolls around. So we'll see what these drivers are going to be able to do here with the 10 laps allotted to them. Obviously, for drivers back at the rear of the field like James McLeod, JT Bryant, Anthony McCurry, Johnny Gardner, who were at the bottom of the speed charts for the pole day qualifying session yesterday, anything can really be an improvement for them. They're just trying to get much better starting position than they originally would have had we not had these Gatorade duels or these CanAm duels in place. I'm going to be making that mistake all day. I guarantee you about that. Several times a few days ago, I was wanting to call it the Budweiser Shootout and the Sprint Unlimited instead of the Clash. So I guarantee you that is not the last time I will be calling these the Gatorade duels here today. But nonetheless, it's an all Chevy front row. The Dodge Charger pace car will make the left-hand turn to pit road. 10 laps of racing. Daytona 500 pole sitter Nathan Hudson. Championship runner-up finisher last season Blaine Keys. They'll get us underway. Let's roll in the CanAm duels. Look at Tim Walsh there, switch up to the high line there between turns 1 and 2 to try and get the draft from Blaine Keys, and that may get him the race lead. Look at him power around the outside down the back straightaway. What a move by Tim Walsh. 3 wide behind him. Cat Tellier put in the middle, 3 wide. Shelton there on the bottom with teammate Charles Sanford. So we're starting to see the teammates hooking up early in this one. And now Shelton jumps up to the high line. You know, one thing that we haven't talked about this weekend that maybe I should have touched on, Jessica Shelton has 3 career wins in the Hersheys Cup Series. 2 wins at Darlington Raceway, but she is also a winner at Daytona. She won the second Daytona race of the season back in season 3. So she knows how to get around this 2.5 mile superspeedway. And that Highline's getting a nice run down the back straightaway. Shelton, Hudson, Cat Tellier all working together there. You can see visibly that they were getting a much better line going, a much better run down that back straightaway than Charles Sanford, who was trying to lead that inside line. Tim Walsh, though, out in front, and that move just showed what the capabilities are of this high side, not only in today's CanAm Duel, but maybe later on this weekend in the Daytona 500, maybe even as early as tomorrow's Tax Slayer Truck Series race and the following day in the Pizza Hut X Series event. Gonna go 3 wide again back there, potentially. Brandon Gonzalez moving low on Cat Tellier. And I thought he wasn't quite going to be clear on Nathan Hudson, but he is going to be able to get in front of the 29. So now Gonzalez side by side with Shelton for third as Cat Tellier will move into second place. Now keep in mind, Lincoln's already been to victory lane this weekend as Keith Batson won the Clash here a couple of days ago. Cat Tellier right there with Lincoln Power. She's going to slingshot to the inside and go for the race lead. Now, ideally, for a driver, they would want to have a teammate start behind them when the green flag drops in the Daytona 500. The problem for Nathan Hudson, who's scheduled to start on the pole, is none of his teammates are in this duel. Brooke Allen, Daniel Gilbert, and, Brooke Allen and Daniel Gilbert was the only 2 drivers that, besides Hudson for Michael Miller Motorsports, they are both in the second CanAm Duel. And so therefore, they'll be starting on the outside of the front row. On the flip side, and we'll touch on this a little bit more in the second CanAm Duel race, the only driver that Trent Dunham has the possibility of having lined up behind him as a teammate is Dallas McIntosh, because Blaine Keys is in this first CanAm Duel, as we saw him start on the outside of the front row for this one. We're already halfway through this CanAm Duel as well. Cat Tellier determined to get around Tim Walsh. Problem is, Tim Walsh has been getting that good run on the outside line. When Tellier tries to get the bottom going, she needs more friends to help her on the inside line. Jessica Shelton there in third, and how about the rookie Alex Drayden has now worked his way up into the 4th position, the 3rd entry out of Tweenix Racing this season. He started dead last in this duel, and he's already up to the 4th position, now trying to get the 3rd spot from Jessica Shelton. His teammate James McLeod not too far back there as well. We'll see the other Tweenix entry, Dylan Poteet, in CanAm Duel number 2. Top 5, single file. Here's the battle for 3rd. Drayden to the inside of Shelton. No drafting help. That's the problem with being a rookie. More often than not, the veterans are not willing to work with you, not willing to follow. They'd rather you follow them than them follow you, and Drayden's getting a taste of what it's like to be a rookie in the Hersheys Cup Series firsthand here in this CanAm Duel. Sean Galligan working his way up here. We actually ended up breaking a streak yesterday when Nathan Hudson took the pole position for the Great American Race, and the fact that SCBM, Sethco Baker Motorsports, had their streak of pole wins in the Daytona 500 broken at 2 straight seasons. Season 3, it was Cole Baker on the pole for the Great American Race, and Sean Galligan took the checkered flag in the Daytona 500. And last season, Galligan won the pole for the 500 with McCrory going to victory lane in the race. Hudson became the first non-SCBM driver to hold the pole position in the 500 for the past 3 seasons. And if that's a trend for the past 2 seasons of the pole sitter of a team determining the race winner of a team, well, Nathan Hudson, Brooke Allen, Daniel Gilbert might kind of like those odds. Sean Galligan, we just mentioned, former Daytona 500 winner, side by side with Brandon Gonzalez for third, but no drafting help. About 2-3 car lengths back to any help in the form of Caleb Farrell or Charles Sanford. Top two have broken away for the moment. Brandon Gonzalez there in third, and now they're getting themselves lined up third on back. Gonzalez, Drayden, Galligan, Farrell, and then you got Shelton, Sanford, McLeod, and I believe that's Dylan Young there just completing the top 10 as we have 2 laps to go here in this Can-Am duel, and all of a sudden, everybody wants a shot at the lead. Tim Walsh drove the past couple of seasons for Michael Norman Motorsports, made the switch over to CJ Racing, and trying to pick up a victory here. You know, we've had quite a number of things here this season so far of drivers that had struggling years last year and really needed trips to victory lane or something good to come their way. Keith Batson still looking for his first career win, the Hersheys Cup Series, winning the Clash at Daytona. Nathan Hudson had a struggling year last season. He's got the pole for the 500. And Tim Walsh, who had a struggling year last season, certainly could use a trip to victory lane, even though it's in a non-points event. The white flag displayed for Tim Walsh. Kat Tellier right there. She's been on his back bumper this whole time. Just nobody's been able to get up close enough for her to have any drafting help if she's able to make a move on the 15. 3 car lengths back to the third place driver of Brandon Gonzalez. If Tellier's going to make a move for the win, she's going to have to do it on her own. Gonzalez, big run into 3, but Galligan steps out of line. So Tellier's going to have to make the move out of 4. Hope it sticks. Hope she gets enough momentum. Will she even peek out of line? No, she won't. Doesn't have the momentum. Tim Walsh will start third for the Daytona 500 as he wins Can-Am Duel number 1. Kat Tellier will start 5th, Galligan in 7th, and Brandon Gonzalez will start 9th in the 5th annual Hersheys Cup Series Great American Race. You see Nathan Hudson back there. All he had to do was just survive this event, keep the car clean, not have to go to a backup car, and regardless, even if he had finished dead last, even if he had pulled the car to pit road and finished in the garage after lap 1, he still would have started on point for the Great American Race coming up at the end of this week. But Tim Walsh, boy, I don't want to call it the comeback season yet, but it's certainly shaping up that way. So far, 3 drivers have had really good things happen to them after very, very mediocre seasons last year. I mean, think about Tim Walsh. Go back last season. That's a driver, that's a team that had to rely on a charter loan to get them into this season's Hersheys Cup Series. That's just how bad a year it was for them. They were able to get the charter off last year's champion Matt Haas, leased his charter to them, and Tim Walsh making the most of it, at least right now. It's looking like it may be a very promising season for a driver that formerly was in the chase for the championship back in Season 2. So we told you who's going to be starting where back through the top 10. Caleb Farrell finishes 5th, so he'll be 11th in the Great American Race. Shelton will be 13th, Dylan Young 15th. Alex Drayden, great comeback there for him after being the slowest in the pole day qualifying yesterday. He will be 15th in the Great American Race. 17th will be McLeod, 19th Charles Sanford, 21st Matt Haas, 23rd JT Bryant, 25th will be McCrory, 27th Cody Lamas, 29th Kev Shearer, 31st Fitzwater, 33rd Garrett Sidner, 35th will be Joshua Michaels, and Blaine Keys will be in the 39th position for the Great American Race. So, wow, Blaine Keys dropped like a stone after starting the outside of the front row here for this duel. So, that's going to do it for the first Can-Am duel race. It's time to determine who's going to be starting on the 4th position all the way back to the 38th position, that outside row of the starting grid. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back as Can-Am duel racing continues here from Daytona.
Drivers, start your engines!
Command's been given as we'll get ready here for our second Can-Am duel. And this will determine the outside line of the starting grid from pretty much the 4th position on back through 38th. Trent Dunham qualified 2nd for the Daytona 500. As a result, starts on the pole for this one here today, this duel. Basically, he's just got to do the exact same thing Nathan Hudson did back in Duel 1, which was survive. Keep the car in one piece. Don't have to go to a backup car. If you do that, you keep your starting spot in the Great American Race. Alongside of him, though, you got Leon Alvarez, Johnny Gardner, Kyle Matthews, a former Daytona 500 winner, right behind them. Keith Batson, who won the Clash here at Daytona a couple of days ago, lining up there in 5th. Another former champion in Chris Dodd. You got some pretty big names here in this field. And Trent Dunham, we already know that Tim Walsh will be starting behind Nathan Hudson on the inside line in rows 1 and 2. Trent Dunham would certainly love to have a teammate start behind him on the outside of the first 2 rows, and he does have an opportunity for a driver, a teammate, to win this duel. Dallas McIntosh rolling off from, looks like, the 9th position. So you wonder if maybe Trent might try and find that 14, maybe try pushing him up towards the front of the field to have it be a single tandem on the outside line when the green flag drops. We saw Blaine Keys was in the first CanAm duel, so Trent not able to work with him. However, we have seen Trent Dunham push a teammate to a win at a super speedway. Go back to M&M Super Speedway last season when Trent Dunham pushed Blaine Keys to the victory. Blaine Keys ended up getting a chase spot as a result, and look what the end result was. Blaine Keys nearly ended up winning the Hersheys Cup Series Championship. But here we go. CanAm Duel number 2 is underway. Second time today. Let's roll. Wide for very long. He stuffed Keith Batson in the middle, but Batson was able to find a little gap on the outside line between Chris Dodd and Quentin Moore. Right now, we have it that it'll be Chevrolets starting the Great American Race 1, 2, 3. As Leon Alvarez using that outside line, he will go to the top position. That's some good drafting help down the back straightaway from Kyle Matthews and Chris Dodd, and they're going to go 3 wide potentially for second. No, instead, Kyle Matthews with a big run. My goodness, that car was almost up against the wall there through 3 and 4. Look at the slingshot momentum it gave him off the exit of 4. He'll go to the race lead. I was going to say, right now, we know it's going to be a Chevy and Nathan Hudson, a Chevy and Trent Dunham, and a Chevy and Tim Walsh starting in the top 3 spots for the Great American Race. Can Chevy sweep the first 2 rows? And we got a car in the wall there. That was Cole Baker in the 18. He was up into the fence. Well, not in the fence, but up into the safer barrier there in 1 and 2, and he's going to lose a lot of momentum and lose the field. Break there for him. Oh, another car up there. That is Levi McIntyre up and into the wall there in 3 and 4. We've already had a pack of race cars on track here today, so you got to think maybe with the rubber they laid down, and then you let the track sit there for a little bit, time in between that race and this. Maybe these drivers are slipping and sliding around there on that rubber, and I think another car just got up and into the wall. Yes, indeed, that's Dylan Poteet, the Mississauga Resorts Casino Chevrolet of Twinks Racing up and into the fence. So drivers are having some difficulty right now with the grip of this racetrack, being the second group of cars out. And now there's another car on the racing surface. That's Brooke Allen in the 3. She doesn't ride the wall all the way through 3 and 4, but she did get up and maybe get a tiny piece of that safer barrier. And with that being said, with these drivers at a lack for grip, you got to wonder just how much momentum, how much for moves they're going to be able to make. And what in the world just happened right there? Problems for, that was Jake Baskinger in the 5, and I think Levi McIntyre in the 99. They both just shot to the inside line. I don't know if they thought they saw something up ahead, and they both took evasive action or what, but that was a little scary. I thought we were going to have 2 cars on the apron going through 1 and 2. One guy that's not having any problems right now, though, that's Kyle Matthews. He's out in front. He's showing the way. They're 3 wide for second behind him. Cody Smart on the bottom. Johnny Gardner in the middle. Chris Dodd way up on the high side. And now 05 is on the apron. And what is he doing? What is John Art doing? He's on the apron, and I don't know if he was trying to get out of the way of drivers or what. He's now back on the race. And it looked like his teammate Jake Baskinger was down there as well. Is this maybe strategy on these drivers' parts that they don't want to start up front for the 500? They're trying to drift back towards the rear of the field? That was really strange. John Art nearly went through the grass on the front straightaway. While up front, they have a battle for the lead. Cody Smart was all over the back bumper of Kyle Matthews, but he couldn't get to the inside. Johnny Gardner now with a run down on the bottom, and he's got Jake Baskinger right there with him. That Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. Wow, that's a tongue twister for me to say. Bass Pro Shops. Whoa, and again! I think there was contact that time. John Art shooting down to the apron. I think he may have gotten a little uneven bump from Levi McIntyre, and we nearly ended up having a wreck here. It would have been the first wreck we've had this entire race weekend. And it's getting down to crunch time, too. Next time by, 4 laps to go. Cody Smart had a good run there through 1 and 2, heading onto the back straightaway, but just heading down the momentum. And look at Baskinger, 2 tires down on the apron as he tried to make it 3 wide with the 12 and the 88. Couldn't do it this time at least, and now he falls back into the clutches of James Richardson. Look at Johnny Gardner switching lanes on Chris Dodd. Dodd trying to get that outside line going. Keith Batson up there with him, and Dallas McIntosh as well. And oh my goodness, Levi McIntyre. I think there's something wrong with that 99. I think that, I don't know what's going on exactly, but something is amiss on that Ford Fusion. No car just turns dead left like that before you even get to the entrance of the corner unless there's some kind of power steering problem or whatnot. I don't know what's wrong. Look at John Art down there as well. Obviously, the 05 and the 99 have very ill-handling race cars. Look at Baskinger, 2 tires down there on the apron. He got a good run there out of 4. Now, he didn't have his 2 tires all the way down below the yellow line. Now he does, so he cannot advance his position. Oh, contact into James Richardson, and that's going to be a caution. Richardson around. Along with Baskinger, there was another car collected as well. Yellow flag will wave, and this may be the race to the finish of this duel. First time this entire week we have seen a wreck take place. Took place here in our second duel race. Cody Smart trying the outside line. He might be able to get alongside Kyle Matthews. Not quite going to be able to do it. Maybe he can get some good momentum off the corner here, coming to the stripe. Will he make the move on Kyle Matthews? Not quite going to be able to get there. Kyle Matthews will hang on, and with 2 to go, I believe Kyle Matthews has won this duel race. But my goodness. We'll have to go back and take a look at a replay of what ended up bringing out that yellow flag. I saw it started with Baskinger down on the apron, and I think he was trying to let everybody by. He found himself in a bit of a predicament. Was trying to let out of the throttle, and he might have snapped back up the track in front of the 11. There were a couple of other cars involved as well. I think Leon Alvarez might have been one, and maybe a few more. So we'll take a look at a replay now of what brought out our first caution of the week. And our first caution here of Can-Am Duel number 2, which may have very well given the 4th starting spot in the Great American Race to our potential Can-Am Duel winner, Kyle Matthews. All right, here, Baskinger is fine, but then he goes down here below the yellow line. He realizes he cannot advance his position, and I think he lifts to try and let everybody by, and right here, yeah, I mean, you can't really put the blame on Baskinger for that. He lifted trying to give room for everybody to get by him, and Richardson just kind of ran him down there, pinned him down, didn't give him any opportunity to come back up onto the racing surface. Leon Alvarez getting a slight piece of that there in the Aaron's Dream Machine, and John Arndt in the 05 also getting collected in this one. So a 4-car incident. I mean, I know they're racing hard, but when a car's down the apron and you're down that inside line, you gotta at least move up a little bit to allow them at least a safe merge back onto the track. Baskinger was clearly out of the throttle, trying to let people by so he could get back up on track, and Richardson just never gave him any room. So that's what put us under the caution. I don't think any of these drivers will have to go to backup cars, so that's good news, but they did all seem to sustain at least a little bit of damage, so They'll probably have to do a little bit of cosmetic work before the Great American Race, but let's go back now as the checkered flag is about to wave for Kyle Matthews. Former Daytona 500 winner, back from Season 2. Going to be looking for his second career Daytona 500 victory, and he'll have himself a pretty good starting position. It'll be an all-Chevy first two rows. Nathan Hudson's Chevrolet alongside Trent Dunham in row 1, and then Can-Am Duel winner Tim Walsh, his Chevrolet, alongside the Chevrolet of Kyle Matthews. 4 Chevrolets out of 4 different teams. Michael Norman Motorsports, Sega Motorsports, CJ Racing, and Retro Racing Enterprises will all be represented in the top 4 for the Daytona 500 as Kyle Matthews crosses the line, the checkered flag and caution flag waving at the same time, and Kyle Matthews is going to be the winner this season of Can-Am Duel number 2. He'll start 4th for the Great American Race. Cody Smart will start 6th. Johnny Gardner 8th. And Chris Dodd will be the completion of the top 10 for the Great American Race's starting grid. Session is complete. Let's take a look at the official results. Keith Batson will start the Daytona 500 in 12th. Dallas McIntosh in 14th. Levi McIntyre 16th. Hartnett in 18th, Daniel Gilbert in 20th, 22nd will be Benjamin Miles, 24th Leon Alvarez, 26th Baskinger, 28th will be Richardson, 30th John Arndt, 32nd will be Brooke Allen, 34th Quentin Moore, 36th Dylan Poteet, and Cole Baker will start from the 38th position. So we now know the starting grid for the Great American Race Daytona 500. We've finally reached the end of our non-points events for the weekend. It's time now to go racing with points on the line, the beginning for 3 series towards the championship race weekend at Auto Club. Tomorrow, it's going to be the first race of the debut season of the NCRA Tax Slayer Truck Series. Following day, we will have the Pizza Hut X Series with their first race of the season, and then we cap off the entire race week from Daytona International Speedway with the 5th annual running of the Hersheys Cup Series, Daytona 500. You're not going to want to miss a bit of it. Thanks for tuning in to today's Can-Am Duels. If you enjoyed them, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today, and we will see you guys tomorrow for the Tax Slayer Truck Series first race in its inception. As you've been watching Production NNSCRA, offline racing at its best.